So then if we took any one of those exit paths, if we took the management or the ESOP or the third-party sale, what's our timetable? And I'm going to use the third-party sale first. And the biggest effort in a sale to third parties is due diligence. And so when the buyer presents themselves, they're going to ask the seller to provide them with all manner of documentation and financial information. And the buyer is by and large looking for risks that could adversely affect the buyer, which could then be put into the terms of the payment, some form of carried interest, some form of money put in escrow, et cetera. But all of our clients we recommend that we've worked with, if they're going to sell to outsiders, then at least 1 or 2 years before they're thinking about selling, go into a pre-sale due diligence effort, which would be have either audited or reviewed financials. If you haven't been doing audited or reviewed financials, you'd want to have at least probably 3 years of audited or reviewed. The bigger the transaction, the more pressure there would be on having audit, but audited or reviewed to be, at least an effort towards normalizing your earnings. Get a quality of earnings study. Do I have any concentration risk, et cetera? Look at your HR. Do we have any HR issues that have been unresolved? I mean, that tends to be the biggest contingent liability on a business owner's business balance sheet. So we usually recommend that somewhere probably 1 to 2 years before selling to an outsider to do your own pre-sale due diligence, working with an outside advisor, whether it's a brokerage or a CPA firm or somebody that has expertise in that. Now, for management, this one takes a little more time. The time is in the creation of buyer's ability. So we're looking at our leadership team and asking the question, are they capable of assuming responsibility? And if there is, let's say, a gap in their ability to assume responsibility for the roles that you're playing, then we need to start formally developing these individuals and figuring out who is going to be the successor CEO and what do they need in order for them to be able to play that role. Because not only do they need to be able to play that role, but they're going to need to get to know this person over here in the bank and be able to convince that lender that they're bankable. And the way they do that is by delivering results and then bringing the lender in on the experience, on the results, showing the lender how things are working. But it takes time typically to do that, to develop that skill. And then the second piece of that gap is going to be financial resources, which is we're going to need to create something for these key employees so that they have some resources available to contribute to the purchase price to allow for the lender to ultimately do an evaluation and make a determination of how bankable the transaction is. So it's been my experience that if we're going to sell to management, then we're basically looking at capacity and creditworthiness. Those would be the two big initiatives in the build up to a sale to management. And I would say that it's a 3 to 7 year. 3 is an accelerated pace. Done it. It can work if the circumstances are right. The circumstances would be the seller is willing to stay in the business as an owner and subordinate some of the debt, and the business is growing and can perhaps accelerate the pay down. But typically it's a 7-year deal. And we've done a construction company that was using its balance sheet to support its work plan through indemnification, or not bonding and indemnification. In order for them to do the work plan, they needed to have an unmolested balance sheet of several $1 million. And so in order for us to create a transaction where the buyer could step in, we needed to create resources for them. And that took us exactly 7 years to do that. So I would say for management, it's 3 to 7 years. For an ESOP, it's a bit of a combination of the two. But with an ESOP, what we're really looking at is the feasibility of the ESOP to have the right mix of payroll and then have a team that's capable of running the organization. It can still have the owner involved, but we're looking at really the financial analysis. There's a lot of financial analysis, and that's all done by ESOP advisors. And it's been my experience, this can get done quickly like this, but I would say if you're looking at an ESOP just to understand how the ESOP works and how it's going to affect you as the owner and the way that the debt's going to be structured, and there's the inclusion of warrants potentially, and then you got regulatory issues with ERISA and the Department of Labor. So it's a fairly complicated transition. It's worth it though, because the rewards can be there for both the seller and for the employees. So I don't have a hard and fast on ESOP, but my best guess would be 2 to 3 years in advance would really help. The longer you give yourself in advance of the exit event, the more likely you are to get what you want, which is sell to the person you want for the value you want on the terms that you can accept.